did a post.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. You're good. Come on
Cool,
back in.
I can hear you.
Cool. Hang tight, Adam.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for joining the show today. My name is Armando J. Cox. I am a roofing company owner here in Denver, Colorado, and I am also a content creator. So I have a YouTube channel, I have an Instagram, I have a phone that keeps going off and a timer. What's that? Um, yeah, so this is live. This is a live show, no filter, no cuts, no retakes, no nothing. And so I'm really excited today, though, because we have Adam Bensman, the roof strategist, on the show. I'll be interviewing him, bringing him on in just a few minutes. And I also have Justin. I don't know how to say his last name exactly. I think it's Lecuy. So Lecuyer. Let's ask him how to pronounce his last name. He's going to be coming on the show. He's a partner over at Lead Baller, doing some really innovative stuff with LinkedIn and other ways to generate leads. So that'll be a great time to talk with Justin as well. And then, so this episode is brought to you by Velocity Public Adjusting. Jack Hanks is the owner, just launched his new public adjusting company, and he's been doing it for years, though, like one of the best guys in the business with large loss public adjusting. Also brought to you by the Roofing Academy. My friend and colleague, Randy Brothers, owns the Roofing Academy. If you need training for your roofing company, he is the one to talk to. And also Get the Referral, which is a company that builds apps for roofing companies. They will build you an app, a custom app for your company, branded that, with some project management tools. So, I mean, if you ever thought about having your own app, talk to Get the Referral. They also help you generate a massive amount of leads. So with that app. And then finally, last but not least, we have the Media Lab, which is my video production business, very small boutique video production. And we work with different businesses in the roofing industry and other industries as well, creating videos, high quality, high end videos. So we're going to get things going here. We're going to cut to the intro and I'll be back in just a few moments. And we are back. Today's guest, we have several guests, like I've mentioned. But for right now, we always like to get the show started with this thing called Logan Slogan. So if you haven't heard of Logan Graff, is a partner over at Crest Exteriors. They are a large roofing company, very large roofing company over in Dallas, and they also have locations in Florida and in Colorado. Crest Exteriors, and so Logan's been with them for a long time, and he started this thing called Logan Slogans, which is these like kind of branded slogans that he posts every week on social media, and they kind of bring some positivity. And get my headphones on here. Kind of bring some positivity to your life if you are looking for that. I think we all kind of need it all the time. And yeah, let's bring Logan on. Logan, can you hear me yet?
Morning.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
I'm doing really good. I'm in Lake Charles today.
Oh, really? Oh, nice. So I was just talking about Crest Exteriors. So you guys have offices. Oh, are you able to turn your camera horizontally?
Sure. Is that better?
How's that? Yes, that is better. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Crest Exteriors has locations in Texas, obviously, right? You have also in Florida. And I didn't realize you were in Louisiana as well. Is that right?
That's correct. And also Colorado.
And Colorado. Okay. So that is pretty awesome. And so what's going on in Lake Charles?
You know, we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of the Hurricane Laura hurricane catastrophe from August of last year. And when that storm occurred, we were already doing work in Louisiana, just a little bit north of here. Anyhow, we came to Lake Charles and set an office up here. So I'm just down here meeting with the team, going over a few new projects that they've got going. One of our top team members just started a really large project that took forever with litigation and insurance to get approved. It finally got approved at the beginning of this summer, and we mobilized to set up about 4 weeks ago, and the project kicked off. So I came down here to take a look at that and see the activity in motion, for lack of better words, and then also just to see the team down here and see what we can do to help out with them.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You're always kind of like supporting your team and always kind of there for your team, which is really, really amazing to see, you know, your leadership, you know. And so I think on that, like, so on that front, we have your slogan here, which is you either learn or win. There is no losing. What inspired you to kind of create that slogan?
You know, that one came from just a long history of business activity. The older you get, you know, when I was a kid, my father used to tell me, you know, older people are wiser. You get wiser as you get older. And it didn't mean much really until I got into the business world. You know, when you make mistakes in life or in business, you can't look at them as a loss or as a mistake. You have to look at it as a learning opportunity. So being the positive influence that goes on in my head that I share with our team, I don't like the word lose. I don't like to lose. I'm not interested in losing. And so we don't talk about losing. We talk about learning. You know, if we're not winning, we should be learning and learning what we can do better next time to help make that scenario a win. And I'm not talking about a monetary thing, but it could be struggles with relationships, friendships, parenting, or heck, being a better spouse, being a better coworker. When you run into problems and you have poor experiences, or you feel like you make the wrong decision and there was a consequence for that, you need to look at that as a learning opportunity opposed to looking at it as a loss. So you either win or learn. There is no losing.
Do you have any experiences in your life over the last any sort of like a big experience potentially, or that where it was like a really intense loss that, you know, could be where it was really hard because I know what you're talking about, like eradicate that word losing from your mind or failure from your mind and using the word learn instead. That's seems to be kind of where you're going. When you're in the midst of that loss, super hard to do, right?
Yes. And if you were going to ask me to pinpoint one scenario, I don't think I'd be able to, because we're not perfect over here, and everything that we do, we strive to get better all of the time. So I'm not able to pinpoint just one specific major event.
Have you had a job go? I'm sure you've had jobs go south.
Yeah, actually, one here in Lake Charles went really south, and you know what? We can use that as an example. It was a actual pivotal moment for us as a company, and certainly for me, not just as one of the owners. I'm very lucky to be in this organization, but I'm also involved in the day-to-day with the sales and activity of the business to create new customers. One specific scenario here in Lake Charles, we had a very large commercial building that had the roof peeled off from the hurricane. We decided to use a dry-in system that we thought and had experience with before would solve the problem, and it didn't. About 24 hours after we had finished the job, we had been paid in full for the job as well. The client had called me and sent me a video of water pouring in the roof,
wow.
And I thought, oh my, this is a big problem. This is about a 15,000 square foot building, 2 stories. The tenants of that building were some government entities, one specifically Homeland Security, and the property owner was just super concerned with getting his building dried in because he didn't want to lose the lease that he had with his tenant. It's obviously a good tenant for him. Yeah. And we came to a pivotal moment right then where we could say, hey, you know what, we tried, you paid for what you got and it didn't work, sorry about your luck. Or we could go out and fix the problem. And to sum it up, that ended up costing us about $13,000 more than we collected. And it was a learning experience for me. I learned what not to do, and I learned what not to do again. However, the winning part of that came with building a further relationship with that customer. Even though we lost money on the job, we still did the right thing and got the building dry. He ended up giving us more opportunities and is a repeat customer. We've had about 8 different transactions with him over the course of the last year. So that's kind of another topic for another meeting, but that was a learning moment for me, where if you stand behind the product and the service that you provide, even if you make a mistake, if you stand behind it and make things right, that ends up being a win. And it became a win many times over for us in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, the key there is like that learning process there of not looking at it as a loss, but as a learning process is to take that learning and like, use it somehow to your advantage, to kind of get you to another level. So I mean, that's kind of something that I've kind of done over the years, is take something that could be potentially like a loss, looked at as a loss, but really no, it's like, how can we take this and like reframe it and do it in a way that it's sort of like a launching pad to something even greater than we were doing before. And it's tough to really like, that's all a mental game, it's tough to kind of do that when you're in the midst of it. But if you can kind of work on that and train your mind to do it, it can definitely take you to new levels of success.
I agree. It's reprogramming your brain on a consistent basis, not allowing the negativity in, or if it does come in, don't let it stay long.
Yeah.
It's like a smelly roommate. You want to get them out of there as soon as you can. Negativity happens, things happen, life happens, and it's all about how you deal with it. It's not about what happens. So that's the message for the day. We want to keep things positive around here.
That's awesome. Thanks, Logan. Really appreciate it, man, for you coming on the show. And hey, stick around. We have Adam Bensman, the roof strategist, on the show today. Have you seen some of his YouTube content?
Awesome. I have. Yeah, I'm excited to check him out. That'd be really good content to absorb today as well.
For sure, man. Yeah, we're going to learn about him kind of getting his YouTube channel off the ground and what that was like, and then, sort of taking it to new levels. I know he's had some really intense challenges too, so we're going to learn about some of those and how he's kind of stayed positive throughout it. So anyways, Logan, thanks you again for joining, for coming on the show today, and we will see you next week. All right.
You bet. Thanks, Armando. Have a good day, man.
Yep.
All right.
That was Logan Graff. You either learn or you win. There is no losing. I love that. We got to really keep that at the forefront of our mind, guys, especially when you're going through challenging times. So we're going to cut to a quick break, and then we're going to come back with Adam Bensman, the roof strategist. Waste my time.
say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be a soldier. Waste my time. Don't say I never told you. Go, get out of my mind. I refuse to be a soldier.
And we are back. Thank you for joining us today on the Contractor Weekly live stream. No edits, no filters, no nothing. You get to see it all. And here we are with Adam Bensman, the roof strategist. Adam, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I got you loud and clear. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you really well. And yeah, so the way we're kind of recording here, you're kind of be looking at my picture on the Zoom, but I'm actually on the screen. So
Oh, don't you worry. I have the live stream pulled up as we speak. What's up, Ben and Chuck?
Nice. Yeah. Hey, what's up, guys? So, Adam, hey, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's really, really great to have you. And, you know, I've been looking forward to talking to you about everything, about roofing, about, you know, YouTube, marketing, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, thank you again for coming on the show.
Well, it's an honor to be here. Appreciate you reaching out and making it happen.
Absolutely. So Adam, let's kind of get started, man. I mean, let's kind of jump right into YouTube, because you've kind of grown the channel from obviously 0 subscribers all the way to 14.3 thousand, as I just looked at it this morning, which is really amazing.
Yeah.
What kind of time frame are we looking at on that growth?
So it's a good question. I have probably a longer winded answer for you. It started in 2015, but it was on accident. And this is actually the first time I've shared this whole story publicly. Like, I've talked with some folks about it, but the channel I had no intention of doing. I started making some videos because I was only working one-on-one with companies. I was a very quiet guy in the industry. Everything was by way of referral. My rates weren't cheap, and I worked with companies in a very hands-on consulting way to help them scale their salespeople and sales operations. And I started to make some videos for their team because I was mostly working with leadership, owners and managers. And I was making some videos for their team to help them get them trained up. It was on my website. They had to log in with a password, and it was just for my active clients. And I had some things happen that made me want to take a break from the industry for a bit. And I got into the direct response sales world online, and I spent some time there. So when I kind of pumped the brakes on that, I made my videos free. And I was very self-conscious because what I've seen in the industry is just my sales approach is different. It's not for everybody. You know, I take an education value-based approach. And I was nervous that I would get chewed up and people would be like, hey, you know, this isn't my style. And I was pleasantly surprised. All of a sudden people are like, dude, make more videos. So anyway, that's how that all happened. And that was in 2015. And I made a few videos because I was passionate about helping people grow in this industry. When I got into it, there were no resources to turn to. Like my training was, and by the way, the company I was with, I never left. Fantastic leadership. Just everyone knows this business, right? It's the industry is a little behind the times, and most folks, it's like, here's a sample board, here's a t-shirt, go make sales. You can earn a lot, go do it. And I didn't even know how to put up a ladder. I didn't even own a ladder. I didn't know how to get on a roof. I didn't know what to look for.
So
Adam, I didn't have those resources.
Prior to the YouTube channel, you were doing roofing sales and sort of like doing door to door. You started in the industry, right? And then you worked for a company, and just like all of us, just knocking on doors, generating deals, making a living, making a good living, and getting better and better at your craft. And then at some point you thought, you know, I kind of want to get into the consulting game. Is that kind of, that's what happened?
Almost. I burned out of the industry. I was in a spot where I was stretched too thin. I'll be frank, I was chasing money too much. I wasn't grounded in enough holistic goals where, I just finished reading, due to the recommendation of one of my clients, Josh, I just finished Brendan Burchard's book called High Performance Habits. And one of the kind of traps he discusses is neglect, of getting so focused on work that we neglect everything else. And that's what happened to me. I was really focused on financial growth because before this industry, I was living below the poverty line. I was living on $4 a day at groceries. No joke.
Wow.
Tight is an understatement. I was earning just shy of 20,000 a year. So I was just so fixated on income gain that I neglected my health. I neglected everything. I went all in. And, I bought a house with my now wife, was moved into a house with 8 guys I managed in a 2-bedroom. And then I was managing an office in Montana. And then I was flying back to our 2 Wisconsin offices, and then commuting to Illinois, and then commuting to Indiana, into our Indianapolis office. And I got so busy, I had trucks. I had like one truck there, this truck, and then I was running around, and I was in the hospital before I was 30, thinking I'd had a heart attack. And I got this.
You were doing this as a sales manager or as a company owner?
Chief operating officer, COO.
Okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah, and that was the point where I was like, I'm gonna die if I keep this up. It wasn't the traditional life of a normal sales person. I mean, I was never home. It was like 2 weeks Montana, 2 weeks home, then driving here. So that's when I decided to bow out, and then I had hired Jim Johnson with Roof Coach Pro at the time, now Contractor Coach Pro.
Okay.
And loved working with him. And when I left, I had every intention to get into the personal development world. And then Jim and I talked and decided to kind of embark on that journey together. We parted ways very amicably, by the way. I have a very, my sweet spot is here, and he's excellent at what he does. And we have different approaches. So this industry I left, and then I got brought in, and then when
how long were you gone for when you left?
Like a week, 2.
Oh, that's it. Okay. I thought
that was the first time before I started working with Jim. And then when I parted ways to start the Roof Strategist, I took a break for a couple of years. I think it was about 3 years. I still kept the channel going, but I was able to apply all this knowledge in a direct sales world, working with, I drove about 100 million in sales for the clients I worked with, just on pure strategy level, designing their sales process, training their sales team, auditing Zoom calls. And I worked with membership organizations, law firms, financial advisors, you name it. And then as the channel began to pick up, I was like, you know what? My passion's really helping people succeed in this industry. And I got tired of helping one person get rich, which was always the owner. Like, I was only working with one company at a time. And it was like, I can help this guy get more rich. And I realized that the only way, like, don't get me wrong, we all have gain, but it's about growth from the bottom up. So everything that I did, I just poured my heart into the individual sales rep that's on the other end, who's in here facing the same struggles that I faced, the same confidence issues, the same sales problems, the same questioning life, the same dealing with a family that doesn't quite get like why you would go into this industry and go into commission only. So this whole thing, is through listening, I guess, is the best way, Armando.
And were you kind of like intentional about like the brand, the Roof Strategist, the name, the Roof Strategist? Were you kind of like, did you already have some ideas like, okay, I want to do a YouTube channel that we can grow, that could expand into something, a little big, bigger than, big, were you thinking big at that point? Or was it like, hey, let's just see if I can help some salespeople out. And, if we grow it, it grows, cool. If not, let's not worry about it. I want to just put out really good content. Like, what was your thinking at the very beginning?
That's such a good question. No one's ever asked me that. I wasn't thinking that big, I'll be honest. I didn't, this whole thing of being in a spotlight is really weird. It's foreign to me still. It's bizarre, doing meet and greets and seeing folks. And when I started the brand, my wife, so I was living in an RV at the time. My wife and I sold everything. We bought a fifth wheel and a diesel truck. We were traveling around. And when this whole thing started, we were driving up to northern Wisconsin. And I spoke at one of the Win the Storms. We were traveling around. I'd see clients. We were out. That was kind of the beauty of being on the road, just living this life, being able to be out. I was only thinking about the one-on-one clients I was serving. That was it. It was just, I want to help people do what I did, which was grow and scale sales operations. And YouTube channel, never a thought. Making videos, again, I did it because it was a way to serve my clients better because they had only 1 hour a week with me. So how can I provide more value to them? Well, I do a video. That way that lives beyond the time. So no, I was not thinking big. I was thinking, how do I serve these people? And then it all just, this whole thing's on accident, Armando. This whole thing is a giant accident of listening and just trying to help.
Wow. Crazy. And so now, so then you, but eventually once you started to see some more potential and like becoming like an actual YouTuber, you started getting like really intentional. Cause I mean, even when I was reaching out to you, you're like, hey, can't do Tuesdays. I film Tuesdays. So like you started to get on a schedule. You started to be a little more disciplined about it. I mean, did you hire like a videographer? Did you shoot your own videos? Like once you started realizing, okay, this is something I want to do, I'm going to take it a little more seriously. What was the process then? Did you buy some equipment? Did you, hire somebody, or what did you do at that point?
It's a good question. So I'm one of the build the parachute on the way down kind of guys. At that point, I was consulting with a fintech startup, and I was paid I was under an NDA. We'll just say this: I walked away from a very healthy, multi six-figure opportunity. With a 6-figure base and benefits and stock options for part-time work while I was serving my other clients. And I was at this point where my calling was to support people using this industry to change their lives. And I knew that I needed the time to make this channel grow and to reach more people. And I get the question a lot, why don't you run a roofing company? I don't want to run a roofing company. I'm not an operations guy. I'm not a financial guy. I love helping people change their lives in sales. Well, so if I even grew a sales team to 100, I'm impacting 100 people. Right now, I'm living my dream. I feel like I wake up every day to serve the largest roofing team in the entire world. And that's the part that fuels me up. So I took this leap and I left that arrangement and I went all in. And there's a small team of 3 of us here, soon to likely be 4. I film every video on my own. My studio is in the separate side of the office, and you just learn as you go. But I am a systems and operations thinker. So, we each have our own strengths. I have a guy on my team who handles all the financials, and anything you see online, he touches. My wife's part of the team. Anything that you see in the videos and the podcast, she's touched and queued up. So just learning to create systems and operations to support this. And by the way, kudos to anyone. Like I know Roofing Academy's on here. I actually just talked with Ryan Brothers the other day, and I'm having lunch with him here a couple weeks. But I was like, man, I don't know how you do it. You run 4 companies. I can barely keep my up doing one. So kudos to those guys who can juggle all the acts. But I've kind of gone all in here.
Yeah. So you were consulting and for a company that was sounding like they wanted to take you on full time and give you a pretty cushy job for the most part, right?
Yeah, I was part-time consulting, one of a few clients at the time.
And they're like, we want you on, we don't want to do this consulting thing anymore. We want you full time. We want you in-house. We want you to kind of help us build this company. We want to give you stock options, a great salary, all that kind of stuff. Am I hearing that correctly? That was kind of the scenario?
It was all there. I wasn't full-time. I had arranged a base pay, a 6-figure base with stock options and benefits and incentives on growth to spearhead their sales and their new client acquisition.
But you knew that was already just going to take you too much time away from, because I mean, creating content as a content creator is very time consuming. You think, a lot of people think, oh, well, it's a 2-minute video. Yeah, but a 2-minute video took us, half a day to shoot, type thing. And then all the planning that goes into it, and the writing, even it's non-scripted, the outlining, the shooting, the writing, the posting, all that stuff takes a lot of time. And you knew that 6-figure situation was going to take time away, and then you just walked away from it.
Yeah, I had no idea what would happen, by the way. I mean, I really didn't, but my wife has been my biggest fan and biggest supporter. And she levels me out quite a lot, where I had hemmed and hawed on doing this, making that leap because, to me, the sales consulting, I love it. I love training teams. Yeah. I helped a law firm. I'm under an NDA, so I can't share with that, but I got their close rate by working with their team over a couple of years. on a personal injury law firm, one call close, inbound calls, week over week average, 90 to 100%, tracked, verified. And those numbers, most people don't even believe.
Yeah.
And I just absolutely love doing it. And I reached a point, and I know most people who are on here who've become higher earners, money stops being a primary motivator. There's so many ways we can earn a living in life that having a deeper why and a deeper pull to support others is really what gets me excited. I mean, I was in my studio. I had 2 videos filmed by 7:15 this morning, and to be able to wake up with that excitement to serve, knowing that there's just this tremendous passion to put this into the hands of people who I know are using it in the field. And then to wake up for a text message from a guy, his name's Lucian. He emailed me, and just like, hey, I just wanted to let you know, I'm going to cover up his last name just for privacy. But he shoots me this email, and he just said, I just landed, which I would talking him through this, a 600 square HOA that's going to net him $120,000 commission.
Wow.
And I was like,
Wow.
man, this is the coolest feeling in the world, celebrating victories for people, like his life. I don't care how much money you earn, 120 grand commission is worth doing backflips over.
Well, one thing that's interesting with that scenario, not so much him. I mean, that's amazing. That's incredible, right? It's huge, life-changing situation. I mean, I think with you, like you walked away from a lot of money and went into something that you weren't, and that just kind of shows what is important to you. And for everyone out there who kind of like really figuring out what is really important to you, because if you go into a situation because of the financial gain and that's the main driver, then that's what's important to you is the financial gain. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that being the most important thing, but just know that there's certain consequences that come with like when you make the priority, the financial gain. And everything that I've learned, in the past, success, reading books, talking to people, going to events, speakers, everyone kind of has this similar trend in like the sort of like formula to success, which is like do something that you enjoy, do something you feel passionate about, do something where you're helping others, and like the money will come type of situation. It was that sort of the driving kind of like the guiding principles to your decision making.
It's a good question. Yes and no. Like I followed the passion thing, and I was a massage therapist. I was in the natural medicine world, and that's how I ended up broke. And I push back on people when they say follow your passion. I'll be honest, I don't care about roofs at all. This industry, I love because of the opportunities that it presents. So when I started selling roofs, I mean, I don't care. My product knowledge isn't strong. I know enough of the process to communicate as an expert with homeowners and commercial property owners. But if you got me up on a roof and wanted me to install it, I would struggle. All right.
Yeah.
So am I passionate about roofs? No, not even a little bit. I am passionate about the opportunities that this industry presents. The other big breakthrough I had, I don't know, do you know Joe Polished?
Rings a bell.
Ring a bell?
Rings a bell for sure. Yeah.
So yeah, he's one of the world's most impressive marketers. And he mentioned something on one of his podcasts called the I Love Marketing podcast, that he said, imagine if money was viewed as thank you notes. What would you change in your business? And that stuck with me. He said, imagine if you only got paid when people succeeded. What would you do what would you change? And that's just been my outlook on every video I put out. How can someone actually use this? I don't do fluff. I don't just like, there's time and place, by the way, no judgment. There's entertainment things. There's this. If you're spending your very valuable time listening to anything that I'm putting out there, you're going to have an actionable thing to apply in the field to improve your life and your sales. Yeah. That's my commitment to respect time. So to bring it all full circle, partly yes, but at the end of the day, it's just about helping people win and doing that in every avenue. From the folks that, one customer said, I'm following you for 2 years. I'm going to jump on board now. It's like, awesome. I'm glad you succeeded applying this stuff for 2 years, Yeah. And if you don't, it doesn't matter. And I get so many emails every day responding to people. I don't even have time to check who's a customer. It doesn't matter. Everyone just gets equal treatment. I care for you guys. I want everybody to succeed. That's really my why, Armando. I don't know if I skirted that question, reel me back in, but that's my answer.
Yeah, I hear you. No, that's perfect, Adam. Hey, how are you doing on time? Are you? We're going to bring on another guest here. You're going to be next to him at RoofCon. Your table, cool. I guess, is right next to Justin, and I don't even know how to say his last name. We're going to find out here in just a moment. Are you able to kind of keep hanging out?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay,
I can do that.
we're gonna take a quick break and then we're going to bring on Justin. We hope you guys are enjoying the show so far, and we're gonna bring on Justin. We're talking about LinkedIn. We're gonna talk about other lead generation sources. So it's kind of cool because Justin's in lead gen, you are in sales, and it'll be kind of cool to get the two together, because they like, they're like brother and sister type thing.
They are.
Yeah, we're gonna cut to a quick break and we'll be right back, guys. And we are back, guys. Thank you for joining us today. Once again, my name is Armando J. Cox. I am the Denver, I own a roofing company in Denver, and I'm also a content creator. Been doing content, got my own YouTube channel. It's small, nothing compared to what Adam's doing. Although I'm getting some great tips from kind of what you're talking about, Adam, and I hope other people are as well. And okay, now we have Justin kind of joining us. Justin from Lead Baller. I'm like butchered your last name probably like the last 4 times I've tried to pronounce it. Justin, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, I can. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you. How do we pronounce your last name?
Yeah, so it's pronounced, it's French Canadian, so it's pronounced Lecuyer, but here in the States, I've always just said Liquier is what I told people. So you can just go with either one of those, but Justin works. That's the safe bet.
It's still a little challenging. Lequier, right? Is that right?
Yeah. Yep.
Lequier. Okay. I'm going to, because I was talking to my wife yesterday and I was like telling her about some of the guests, and she's like, how do you say his last name? Like, I don't know. But now I know Lequier. It's not that hard once you kind of learn how to, how to pronounce it. So anyways, so Justin, hey, thanks for coming on the show. And Justin, meet Adam. Adam, meet Justin. I love making these kinds of introductions virtually.
Yeah, great to meet you, Justin. I'm stoked to know that we're booth buddies.
Yeah, no, it's good. Good meeting you too, Adam. I'd say probably from 10 different roofing companies, they have brought your name up as I've just been communicating with them. So, man, you built an awesome brand. Excited to meet you.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate the feedback.
Justin, what's kind of interesting too very interesting with what Adam is, it basically the roofing the YouTube channel, the Roof Strategist, sort of happened on accident. Through like a bunch of like you sort of like stumbling. And I mean, I think the first big step was taking on the COO position at a roofing company, realizing that after, doing it over and over and over, that you did not like it. It was not your passion, and then suffering from burnout from it. Right. And then like leaving the industry for a while, and doing something completely different, which I thought was really interesting. Now you don't want to be a roofing company owner. You don't want to do all of that, but you really only have discovered that through actually doing it,
Yeah.
So Justin, tell us a little bit about yourself. So you've been involved in RoofCon for a while, right? You've gone to their retreats. You were at one of their retreats not too long ago. Is that right?
Yeah, it was actually with the whole Revolt team. But being a close friend of Hunter Ballou and being close to Cornerstone for a long time, yeah, I've kind of traveled with them at times, and they've supported us along the way. And
so you're kind of like doing something as far as lead gen goes that not a lot of companies are doing, right? Not a lot of like marketing companies are doing, which is you've sort of like, I want to say cracked the code in LinkedIn, through a lot of trial and error, like an incredible amount of trial and error. And you're now generating leads through LinkedIn and showing others how to do it. Am I getting it right?
Yeah, that's a good overview.
Okay. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? Like, I don't know. I don't post on LinkedIn as much as I should be. I know there's a lot of people doing it, but like, what more is there besides posting on LinkedIn to generate actual leads?
Yeah, good question. First off, thanks for having me on here, man. I've loved our conversations recently, so this is exciting for me. Yeah, I think on every platform there's like a push technique and there's a pull technique when it comes to sales, right? And so there's a lot of like, you can post content and you can have a bunch of people come in and leads, and that's exciting. But what has always fired me up, as well as Jimmy Coleman, who's my partner, who many people know him, associate with Lead Baller as well, is that when you are doing the outbound lead gen, you feel like you're in a little bit more control. Like it's really exciting to go after and do a little bit more of a push technique. And so most of the time when I'm talking to people, they're like, I don't really post on LinkedIn a whole lot. And I'm like, man, 99% of our clients crush it and they aren't posting on LinkedIn at all, right? So yeah, I mean, I guess in a quick recap, Jimmy and I grew up in a small town in Virginia where, you're making 30, 40 grand and you made it in life, and you just get up and you do the same thing every day. And we had huge goals and huge dreams, right? I was like, how do you impact millions of people's lives? Similar to Adam. How do you get to the place in life where you're like pissed off when you have to go to bed because you can't wait to wake up in the morning, right?
And Adam, feel free to chime in, man. If like it's okay, like we can all just have sort of a conversation about this stuff. If something's kind of coming out to you. So I mean, so in your hometown, and Justin, like 30 to 40,000. I mean, and where I live in Denver, that's challenging to even survive, really, honestly. You kind of need dual incomes if you're at that level. But from when you grew up, that was sort of like, that was going to be middle class for the most part. Is that right?
Yeah. And it might be a little bit of an exaggeration. Like you probably wanted to get closer to 40s or 50s per se, but yeah, I mean, it's just, I try and be very careful with how I say this, but Jimmy and I both were passionate about like not living a mediocre life, living a life where we're on fire in every part of life. Just like what Adam said, how do I make a lot of money and I'm passionate and I'm doing all of that? And so I push back the same way, Adam, when people are like, do what you love. And I'm like, man, I know so many people who do what they love and make no money. And it's a serious grind and it's a struggle, right? Yeah. And so how do you find the mixture where you can do all of that? And so, yeah, we used LinkedIn a lot. I coached LinkedIn when I was in college, started some healthcare organizations and would use it to bring in top speakers from all over the state. And one, I was like, man, this would be clever because it would provide value to the nonprofit or to the organization that I was overseeing. But it also like got me in front of CEOs so I could land huge job opportunities after college. And Jimmy was using it on the sales side as well. Well, Jimmy and I kind of met up. We joined a medical company in North Carolina and used it to build the sales team, used it to generate over $10 million of revenue there. And the company went from 37 employees, I think, to like over 600 in 4 years. And that is by no means all on us by any means, but we use LinkedIn to generate those leads in a lot of ways. We use it to build the sales team. And after over 5 years of being on this platform every day for a long time and it altering our whole entire lives, other people started saying, how are you doing it? And it turned into a coaching. And then after we coached, we realized a lot of people didn't implement it because it took so much time, to then saying, all right, we're just going to do it for you because then we can guarantee a lot of your success.
And who is Jimmy? So you mentioned Jimmy a couple times, and I guess I'm a little. So Lead Baller is, you guys are co-owners, you and Jimmy, is that right?
That's right. Yep.
So you have a business partner who's Jimmy. Do you guys go way back? Do you guys are like friends from when you were little type of situation?
Yeah. So I guess Jimmy and I met each other around college timeframe.
Okay.
And when we joined this medical company, we propelled a lot of the sales, and same thing, Adam. It was like, okay, well, here's 6 figures. Here's everything that's predictable and your benefits. And we're like, just not enough. We want to do a lot with a bunch of companies. How can we be in 30 different industries and helping them with sales and specifically lead gen? And so Jimmy and I were partners in that medical company. Jimmy left to start Lead Baller. And then I kind of joined alongside of him, and we've teamed up here at Lead Baller for over 2 years now. And so that's why I was kind of bring it up, is a lot of Jimmy's doing the branding and the marketing, and I'm overseeing a lot of the lead generation, the team, and then driving the sales. But a lot of people probably know Jimmy associated with you, and that's why I brought him up. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. So that makes a lot more sense. So then you also walked away. I mean, this is like an interesting trend here. We got 2 people here who are doing, really big things in the industry, and you both walked away from a high paying, 6-figure situation to kind of do your own things because you had these sort of like, I guess dreams and ideas of like impacting people on a larger level. That's that's kind of what's happened with both of you. Is that right?
Yeah,
For sure.
build a parachute on the way down and don't settle.
Really interesting, man. So I'm sure there's, so then Justin, are you focused like 100% on LinkedIn? Is that kind of like, do you also, you Google ads, you do lead gen on other platforms as well?
So yeah, I mean, we basically mastered LinkedIn over 5 years, and that's
Okay.
what we focused on. Recently, we've expanded to emails, and in August, launching where we're doing a lot of like text messages and auto voicemail drops and really fun and clever stuff on that side. But we were fascinated with LinkedIn because no one had ever really been able to master it. It's not very user friendly. It's owned by Microsoft. They don't really care. And everyone was selling a Facebook course or SEO or marketing, and no one knew how to do LinkedIn. And so that's why we doubled down on that. So it is the foundation of what we do. And then we do some things around it, consulting, email, other lead gen, but it's all built around LinkedIn for the most part.
That's crazy, man. I mean, Adam, what do you think about that? I mean, they're only doing LinkedIn. I mean, do you post on LinkedIn? Have you generated leads on LinkedIn?
It's a good question. By the way, as they say, there's riches and niches, and the fact that there's a million lead gen companies in roofing, there's like the roofing industry is like the wedding industry. Everyone's like, oh, look, you can make money. We're going to go do a thing. And you quickly see, I mean, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, but in the Facebook groups, every day there's a new marketer that does everything and is doing the same tactic.
300 leads by next week. Right.
Yeah. And when you find a niche, LinkedIn is huge. And Justin, are you doing mostly commercial leads or are you doing B2 like residential leads? Because my understanding with the folks I've talked to on LinkedIn is that's where business owners are hanging out. I'm curious what kind of leads you guys are getting on there.
Yeah. So, I mean, we are working with hundreds of clients across probably 30 to 40 different industries. Just roofing's probably one of our all-time favorites. We mesh on a personal level. It's fun. There's a lot of ROI. There's huge opportunities there. But yeah, it really is B2B. Like something we always tell our clients is who's your ideal prospect and where do they congregate? Where do they all hang out? And then how do you go to wherever they're hanging out? So if you're going after commercial property managers or owners of huge properties that could land 6-figure, deals, then a lot of them are on there and they're active and they've gotten the same spammy message ever. And so if you do it in a creative way, they almost feel like they have to respond back. So part of it's that. The other part too is it's a great place to network. Become the best friend with every realtor, every insurance agent, all of that in your area. Use that platform. And then you're the only roofing company that exists in your town. And so it really is just the best place to go after affluent or decision makers or huge deals and a more B2B platform or networking with people who are channel partners who have access to the huge deals in a way that comes across much better than a random message on Facebook or another platform.
Yeah. I mean, one thing you mentioned there was the ideal customer profile or the ideal customer, right? And I feel like so many of us, including me, well, actually not me that much anymore because I used to not, when a friend of mine, Nick Perrette, like years ago was like, your avatar. And I was like, you need to know your avatar. I was like, what's the fundamental to like having a good marketing plan? He's like, he said avatar. And I was like, well, what does that mean? And he's like, well, your ideal customer, you have to build like, who is your ideal customer? And like, what exactly are they all about? And back then, like years ago, I started kind of getting into that, like analyzing who is our ideal customer. And we continue to do it. I mean, Joe Hughes at Contractor Dynamics kind of kids around with me that we narrowed it all the way down to like our ideal customer at the roofing company is like a female between the ages of like 36 and 43. She loves to do yoga. She drives a luxury vehicle. She doesn't really like fitness, but she likes wellness. So she drinks tea. She also has a couple kids. She likes to, do family events on the weekends, different local areas here in town. She likes to do some gardening here and there. Not really too much of the work of the gardening, but she likes to kind of like dabble in gardening and find some nice, so I can like keep going on about my ideal customer. I mean, are you finding that, Justin, that a lot of guys don't really know that? And do you help them with some of that?
Yeah, I think we talked about this when we had our long call earlier this week. Is I'm pretty sure it's Lululemon. They actually in their boardroom, they have an open chair with a name, and let's just say it's Linda. And it's got their ideal customer profile on there. Her age, the household income, what she does on an hourly basis, how great of a mom she is, all these different things. And they look at that every day and it makes it feel real. How do you make it so real to your team that you feel like you could come up and high five Linda or whoever the ideal person is? Joseph Hughes is an awesome, brilliant guy too. And so it's really spot on. We do help them with that. A lot of it is, I can get you 100 conversations or leads, but if 97 of them are really bad, I not only cost you money, but I wasted your time.
Yeah.
So it was a double whammy. So I have to be very careful of making sure I'm targeting the right people. And that is a challenge. That's why some of what we do is LinkedIn lists, and some of it we just pay for a lot of different lists that are very focused. So we can say, okay, who do you make the most amount of money from, that you enjoy working with the most, and you get the best results for? And let's just clone them, right? And let's reach out to them at scale in a fun, customized manner and make them feel like they're the only human being that ever got your outreach. And so that's kind of how we help them build it out. And some of them know it really well. And they're like, got it. This is the color hair they have. Here's this. And some are like, man, great question. Whoever has $100 bill in their pocket, like, let's talk to them, or whatever the case is, So that is part of the process we build out, because I can't help you get effective results if I can't help you hyper target on that specific person.
Adam, have you done those kinds of analyses before?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, especially in the online world, when I was in the direct response space, you need to know exactly who you're talking to and have that. Everyone's got a different word, archetype, persona, ideal customer, avatar. They all mean the same thing.
Yeah.
And I got to give a shout out to Mike Cody, the roofing salesman.
Yeah.
When I first started writing some articles, he reached out, and he actually spent like 2 hours on the phone with me, unsolicited. He reached out. I was like, man, I like what you're doing. And he was like, you need to get clear on your avatar. And this was way early on, probably over a decade ago at this point, or maybe near a decade. At any rate, back to you, Justin. Question. I have so many guys that reach out to me. They're like, I want to get into commercial. And everyone just like casts this net of like, they just see dollar signs and there's no focus and clarity. How do you work with your clients to distill this idea of, I want to go fishing for whales. Let's go do it. And you're like, can you install TPO? Is it EPDM? The Mon Pa, like where we had our office outside of Madison, Wisconsin, the guy was an anesthesiologist who just happened to own a bunch of commercial properties. And he'd come in and put his feet up on my desk and talk to me about his yacht adventures. And I'm like, dude, get out of here. But he's a different type of person to sell than the retirement communities we worked on, by these that own like 28 complexes, versus different than my first commercial job I sold, which was just a dude who owned a strip center. So how do you work with your people to get clear on their audience and what type of commercial properties to sell?
Yeah, great question. So I think the majority of the groups that we work with are not in commercial and they want to get into it, right? This has been more common as of lately. Most of our clients like, hey, I want to get connected to every realtor, every insurance agent, every HVAC, every solar company, all of that. I want to build those relationships. I want to give them referrals, and I want them to always think of PNC roofing, right? And now recently it's been, man, there's a lot of money in that, and a lot of people want to dive into it. So a lot of times I'm asking them, like, who is that ideal person? What is the title? What is the geography? Where do you want to go after? And then we kind of so in our approach is like, once you target the person, if you connect with them on LinkedIn and you send them a connection request, and then they accept, then don't do what everyone does. What is that? That is, you send 3 links, 3 paragraphs. Let's talk. It's ultra salesy. It is miserable. And LinkedIn recently has changed their algorithm. So you can only reach out to so many people. They're trying to really protect that community, right? So what you have to do is you have to nurture that relationship, engage with content, stroke their ego, and make them feel like you're a super fan, right? And so that's what we do a lot for them at scale, right? We will connect with people who are targeted and we'll interact for like a week. I want them seeing your name every time pop up in their notifications. So they go to bed thinking, who is Adam? Did I work with him? Did he do this? Like, why is he all over my profile? So then when you reach out with some type of value, it blows their mind and they feel bad. They can't sleep at night if they don't respond. Yeah. So then when you're reaching out, it's like, okay, well, what type of copy are you going to use? How are you going to build it out? Well, let's think about what is every objection as to why they wouldn't want to connect with you. Because every company's got the 5 or 6 objections. Are you some mom and pop roofing and they got burned in the past? Then overcome that in your messaging, right? Are you not local? Well, make sure that you say, hey, I'm right in your town. I'm actually right there off of Chester Avenue, downtown in this. And so we help them build that. So when they reach out, it completely, I always like to say it like disarms them of their 5 or 6 objections. It's been nurtured before. It feels very customized. And then from there, have the conversation, maybe do like a 10, 15 minute kind of like meet and greet, or go by their office, or a lot of times they'll give like a free assessment. Like, hey, like, let's come and I will just, nothing asked in return. Let me just check out your place, see how I can support you. I don't care if we make money or not, kind of thing, right? Like, I want to build a relationship. I care about the town. You're almost labeling yourself as like a community leader that happens to do roofing. And then from there, they kind of get into more of the nuts and bolts of like, hey, like, this is what we do. What are your challenges? But if you lead with that, it feels very salesy at times. So for us, it's how do you get all of them to say yes? They want to meet with you. They want to meet with your sales team. Well, then you reach out in a way that feels so white glove and so special that they can't say no. And then when you meet there face to face, you can dive into those details and see if there's opportunities. And so that's how we've kind of crafted it to get you in front of them, because if you're too aggressive on the front end, or, hey, this is what I'll do, or I'll give you this for free, or this is the, this is why we're better, and you're aggressive on the sales side, they're like, okay, you're just like every other roofer, like back off. So we're very careful with it. And then we study the responses. If you got 125 no's in a month, why'd they say no? And then change your copy and adjust to the person you're going after. Speak their language. How do they communicate? What matters to them, right? And so every month it changes, and every geography is completely different. And so we just mold it to the specific type of property managers or commercial groups that we're going after.
That's awesome. Thank you for answering that in such depth. And I want us, this is our first introduction. What you touched on about being too salesy and pushy was the hardest lesson to learn from going from working in person to the digital world, because what works in person does not work. When you're out knocking doors, this is direct sales. I have your attention. You can read body language. You can try to get to the decision maker. You can leave with, do you have their business card? Grab it, and I can follow up with them. But when you're doing this stuff on LinkedIn, like if you try to use the same pitch that you do at a door or a cold drop-in or a cold call, like that's like the fastest way to get blocked on LinkedIn. Like, here's another one. I mean, you know the drill. Like, connect, send like 48-minute to read message about you, or like, here's about me, book a call. It's like, are you kidding me?
Totally. Well, here's what you have to do too, Adam, is, oh, no, actually, go ahead. You're on a roll. No,
I was going to, I brought this up because I only read this book recently called The Like Switch, Like by Jack Schaefer. And he talks about, he's an FBI agent, he talks about the friendship formula, which I've talked about in my videos quite a bit, which are proximity, frequency, duration, and intensity. These are the 4 key elements. And especially on LinkedIn, you have the frequency, duration, intensity. What did I just miss? I just missed one.
I didn't catch that.
Rewind.
I just made a note for that book.
Yeah. So those elements, when you just first, and same thing goes in person, by the way, but online, like you want to develop this familiarity, the frequency, the duration, how much time they're spending consuming your stuff, and the intensity, meaning what is the depth of the relationship? Are you providing value or insight or something? And this is how you can develop on digital friendships. You meet people, you're like, oh, I saw on Facebook you went to Cancun last week, and it's someone that you just met in person for the first time, but you feel like you've known him forever. And anyway, if you haven't read the book, I think you might like it. So I just wanted to share that with you.
I just made a note for that book for sure, because it sounds really interesting.
It says friendship equals proximity, frequency, duration, intensity. That's the 4 proximity, I guess what it was?
Yeah. Proximity was the last one, how close you are to them. So
no, it makes a lot of sense. And no, I think you're spot on there's a new world of like what we call digital prospecting, right? And you have to do it in a completely different manner. You even have to think down to, if I'm reaching out on LinkedIn, who am I going after? Okay, well, if I'm going after huge commercial deals, this needs to be very white glove. I need to nurture the relationship just right. I need to use their verbiage. I need to understand what matters to them. And then when I send a message to them, how I come across there, they're going to automatically look at that as that a direct reflection of the work that I deliver. If it's spammy or trash, that company probably doesn't care. They're playing guerrilla marketing. I'm a number. And I'm going to go to that one other group that's been nurturing that relationship for 9 months. And they're awesome, and they lead with value, and they're inspiring. They have what I like to say, like a contagious personality about them and their company. And so what if on platforms, even on LinkedIn, we're doing outreach, instead of doing written message, what if you did video? What if you did even more than video? What if you took a note card and you wrote down, hey, James, and you smiled and you sent the video on LinkedIn, and the thumbnail was you holding a handwritten card that said, "Hey, James, your open rates are going to be over 90% because no one's ever sent you a custom LinkedIn message or any message, digital prospecting with your name on there, right? Or whatever the case is. And then when they open it, then you pour your heart out. Then you're genuine. Then you're raw and authentic. And
That's crazy, man. I love that. Adam, have you tried that before? That's different, man.
I have, because someone used it on me. Someone had refound my YouTube channel, reached out with a really fancy software, and had the name on there, but it also had my YouTube channel pictured. Yeah. It was a manual thing. So he had turned around, he's got a selfie with my YouTube channel pulled up with the card saying, "What's up, Adam? Let's," and then I was like, "All right, let's talk. You did it." So
yeah, it was a memorable moment. You're going to get, it's almost like, Adam, have you ever read the book, The Purple Cow by Seth Godin? No. He talks about if you're driving up and down a road and you see a cow on the sides, you probably don't care a whole lot. But if it's a purple cow, you're pulling over, taking a picture, your whole life has changed because you're never going to see a purple cow again. So how do you become a purple cow in your industry? How do you do things completely different? Something so memorable that they're going to think about you for the next decade. Well, in that outreach, if you're spending that much time, then you sure and heck are going to do a fantastic job with any type of a repair or a roof because you are intentional. Right? Like you put time into everything that you do. So we do customized video at scale. So it's handwritten and everything to hundreds of people from one video, right? Awesome. Like we're doing a lot of that to where you have to do that in the world we're in right now because quantity, everyone's playing the quantity over quality game because everyone's a bunch of amateurs because they haven't had to do digital prospecting. COVID pushed us in the future 5 years to where this is a new norm. And the people who are driven with quality are going to crush every quality. And if you can do quality and quantity at the same time, then you become a machine. And so, you just have to break down the psychology of it and make sure like that Purple Cow book changed the whole life was how is everything I'm doing different? And those are normally the groups of roofing companies that explode because they took something great and made it unbelievable. So
I'm adding that one to my list too.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the book, The Star Principle by Richard Koch.
Oh man, I've Justin and I've read the same books. You know why, Justin? Because Arate, because Seth Rogen wrote Purple Cow, right? Is that what his name is? what's his name?
Seth Godin.
Seth Godin, yeah.
Seth Godin. Yeah. Seth Rogen's the actor.
Seth Rogen is a different
Joe
different
Rogan,
guy.
Seth Godin, same,
Seth Godin and Andy Frisella. So Adam, we're in this group called Arate, and it's a like a business group for like these high achievers. It's amazing. It's like a just amazing group of people led by Andy Frisella and Ed Milet. And they Andy talks a lot about Seth Godin, and I remember like a couple years ago, he was like, read everything that Seth Godin writes. Were you on that? Or did you hear that, Justin, that call that Andy did?
Yeah. He loves that guy. Yep.
What was that book that you just said, Adam?
It's called The Star Principle.
The Star Principle. Okay, cool. I'm getting some really good books here. Awesome.
I should pull up. Can I drop this in the chat? I have a recommended reading list with some of these on there.
Yeah, please do. Absolutely. Yep.
That's my, I mention books in a lot of my videos and send them out. So I just put together that Google Doc. I just put it in the chat a lot on Facebook. It's view only, but anyone's welcome to pop in there and take a peek. But I've organized them kind of by category. And
awesome. Yeah, no, we'll definitely put it in there. And yeah, we're going to we'll do another post too with some of that content. So guys, we're kind of coming up to the end of the hour, and I just want to say just how much I appreciate you both coming onto the show and being a part of this, and some of the tips that you've learned so far just in this one brief conversation are enormous, even for me personally, and so I really look forward to continuing to share this show with everyone and to continuing to, have relationships with you guys. And how do we reach out? How do we find, I feel like it's so easy to find Adam on YouTube, go to the Roof Strategist, right? And then Justin, how do we reach out to you on, how do people find you for Lead Baller to learn more about what's going on at Lead Baller?
Yeah, well, LinkedIn's ideal, just to follow the platform there. That's probably the most ideal. But you can also go to leadballer.com. You can reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll put my email here, just justin@leadballer.com.
Awesome.
But yeah, that's probably the best. And I love just connecting with people in roofing too. Like whether they're a client or not, I'll gladly jump on a call and be like, okay, well, what if you did this? What about this strategy? It always comes full circle, and it's cool. Just like Adam said, like it's rewarding to see other groups thrive.
Yeah,
of
you know,
just
I
training.
just was talking to a friend of mine, and he was telling me, he's like, Armando, I can't tell you, like, just by being sheer helpful, just helpful, no financial gain, no gain whatsoever, like, but just being helpful to some others. I can't describe to you the way, like, some of the opportunities that have just like inadvertently come to me. And like this guy, he's filming a new documentary with like Grant Cardone and like this like Dr. Brecka, where Grant like was able to get some like really intense like healing from this doctor who does these like really crazy like healing techniques that nobody's ever heard of. And he is making this documentary for them just out of sheer being able to being helpful, like through a series of events. So, I mean, I think that's part of what you guys have both done. And it's just amazing how helpful, you know, especially the roof strategists. I recommend people the YouTube channel all the time, because people are like looking for training, sales training, and a lot of guys who are starting out, you know, and I'm like, man, just before you go invest like thousands of dollars, man, just go watch the roof strategist and just kind of like watch a lot of his videos for free, man. And like, you know, then as you kind of gain more and you want more, then, and you use some of this principles to get yourself more deals, then start investing in, you know, some paid training, you know, but for right now, get on there, you know, ASAP. And so yeah, thank you for everything you do, Adam. Thank you for everything you do, Justin. And yeah, thanks again, guys, for being on the show.
Yeah. Thanks for having me here. This was enriching and super fun, and I loved it. So appreciate it. And we can do it again.
Awesome. Yep.
Thanks.
We will see you guys on the next one, and we're going to cut to a quick break and come back with a final thoughts. And we're back, guys, for the final thought. One of my favorite talk show hosts is named Jerry Springer, and I basically have stolen this idea from him as far as the final thought. And what I want to offer on this this last minute here on the show is, you know, just the way that some of the people who, as the guests, you know, Adam and Justin were on the show, and how they sort of have adopted this attitude of being helpful without any like notion of a return or of a gain. And through this like way of being helpful without any expectation of return, just there has been opportunities that have arisen out of seemingly nowhere, you know. And what I want to offer is there is something there, and I don't know exactly what it is. I haven't figured it out exactly. I suspect it has something to do with something much bigger than all of us, you know. But when we kind of put ourselves out there to be like just strictly helpful without any expectation of return, good things happen, you know. And so I just want to encourage you all, if you get that opportunity today or in the next week, you know, to kind of take it, just be helpful, you know, and don't expect anything back, and see what happens with that. Experiment with it a little bit. And so that's going to do it for today's show. Thank you so much for joining, for watching. Please feel free to reach out to all of our sponsors. So thank you again to Velocity Public Adjusting, Jack Hanks. Please reach out to him for public adjusting services. And we also have the Roofing Academy, Randy Brothers. If you need roofing training, if you've been thinking about roofing training, reach out to Randy Brothers over at the Roofing Academy. And we also have Get the Referral. If you have been thinking about doing an app for your roofing business, then you probably know how expensive they are to start. And Get the Referral has done something completely different. They've actually made it affordable for you to get an app for your roofing business, a branded app. So please reach out to them if you've been thinking about doing that. And then, you know, the Media Lab, that's my video production business, very small boutique. If you're interested in some content, creating some high quality video, feel free to reach out to us and we can get you going on that. So thank you again, everybody. We look forward to being with you next week, where we have some more amazing guests for you, and I'll be sharing them through the week on post. So we will see you later, and have a great week.